Joining me tonight from the Military Officers Association of America, MOAA, is Jim Carman, U.S. Navy retired, Leslie Janaros from the U.S. Air Force, and Brenden McMahon. At MOAA, 360,000 plus strong and growing, is the nation's largest and most trusted military officers association. MOAA works diligently to protect the earned benefits of uniformed service members, their families, and survivors across all ranks and all services. Founded in 1929, MOAA is a powerful advocate for strong national defense, representing those who make it possible. They are the leading voice on compensation and benefits for the uniformed services community, and MOAA was recently named by The Hill for the 18th straight year as a top lobbyist in the grassroots advocacy category for 2024. MOAA's charities provide scholarships to children of service members and work to support veterans and their families in crisis. Committed to enhancing the lives of service members and their families at every stage, MOAA is proud to serve those who serve and will be hosting their inaugural People Conference, Total Force Plus, in October 2025. I'd like you to help me welcome our guests tonight, Jim, Leslie, and Brenden. Welcome.
Thank you, Jen, for having us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining me. How are you all tonight?
Doing well, and excited to be a part of your podcast. I think I have a new friend in the National Capital Region, and I look forward to getting coffee with you.
Yes, me too. It was lovely getting to know somebody else who's excited as I am about things. It's hard to find that. Well, I would like to start tonight, with Brenden, I think. I wanted to know what innovative strategies MOAA has recently used to amplify the voices of military families and veterans on Capitol Hill. What's going on there?
Absolutely. And first and foremost, thank you, Jen, for this opportunity. It's always very exciting. And for whatever reason this evening, my camera has decided to give me a very white halo. Not really sure what's going on there, but
mine went off a little on the last podcast. It went off altogether. So something as quirky is going on.
Absolutely, yes. And that's technology for you. So when it comes to the innovative strategies that MOAA has really been trying to lean into, especially the last couple of years, I think first and foremost is how we utilize digital advocacy tools. So one of the things that MOAA is very proud of is what we call our Legislative Action Center. It is an online tool that lets MOAA members and non-members alike send messages on issues important to the uniformed services and veteran communities directly to their lawmakers. I think a real highlight of this was for what we called our Summer Advocacy and Action campaign during the month of August. We generated over 17,000 messages and had over 700 new signups in the span of 30 days.
Okay.
Well, and I think, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think just within that, this upcoming Congress especially has really shown the need for a strategic focus in terms of advocacy strategies. So for us having what we call a tiered approach, us being able to say, these are our core priorities, things that we can clearly show lawmakers, clearly show our constituents. These are the things that we are fighting for. It's not to say that personal issues aren't important, but if everything's a priority, nothing is a priority. And I think that's going to be very true for this upcoming year. And I think just to kind of close off the question, one of the features that I am personally very proud of at MOAA is what we call our advisory councils. These are currently serving members, National Guard, their spouses, actual individuals that help feed into our advocacy efforts. They're ones that help our president, Brian Kelly, really make informed decisions about the issues that we need to prioritize. And I think that's a really unique feature of MOAA and how we incorporate them into our strategies as well.
So that was my next question. How do you sort of prioritize when you have such a broad scope of topics that you have to deal with your membership, whether it's military pay or healthcare, veterans healthcare? Can you, I'm not even sure that I understand completely. How do you prioritize those in your next year? I know you touched upon some of that, and I apologize if you answered directly, but could you more focus in directly? What among the tools that you just described?
Absolutely, yes. So on our part, because MOAA's mission has always been people first, the core focus for us is high quality healthcare, service earned benefits, and focusing on the quality of life improvements necessary for maintaining a healthy all volunteer force. So on our part, our core demographics that we focus on are the currently serving, retirees and veterans, spouses, survivors, DoD healthcare, VA healthcare. So on our end, we identify the top issue for those 5 groups, and that's what we say is our tier 1. We have tier 2 and tier 3, which are still important, but again, like I had said earlier, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. So by us being able to articulate internally and externally that we have a focused 5-set priority list, it makes it much easier to communicate with lawmakers and for our constituents to get involved as well. I mean, not for nothing, advocacy can be very intimidating. And if you aren't really sure where to begin or what to talk about, having a focus list can be really helpful. So I think within that, by having a focus list, by being able to align with member interests, getting their direct feedback, those advisory councils that I had mentioned, it really enables us to build a very robust and very focused strategy. And within that, even if we say like, hey, these are the things that we're working on, how do we know it's working? So within that, being able to have very tangible measures of success also enables us to say like, hey, what's working? What's not? Are these priorities resonating with Congress, or do we need to focus elsewhere in order to pursue equally important issues that actually might make it across the finish line?
I feel like I was given all of this advice on how to organize my professional life just recently. In terms of how to divide things up and how to focus them and address them and strategize. So it might have been from a MOAA member, actually. So
You never know. You never know.
You publish a book?
Secretly, I am an author. Not really, but I can go by a fake name if I need to when it comes to books.
Well, I wouldn't. My dad was a MOAA member too, so if there's some sort of Jedi mind tricks that go on there, we'll discuss afterwards.
Most definitely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jim, I understand that MOAA's presence on Capitol Hill is a big part of it. Can you talk to me about other areas that MOAA serves the military community?
Sure, Jen, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to connect with you and your audience tonight.
Oh, thank you for coming.
As Brenden mentioned, we serve the entire military community, officers and enlisted, families and survivors, and we do this through advocacy, which Brenden described so thoroughly, as well as leadership, education, and service. And we have multiple programs in place to support this mission, and I'll highlight just a couple. We have a scholarship fund that provides about 1,100 undergraduate students every year with about $11 million in total grants and loans, interest-free loans and grants. And this program is open to the children of currently serving, as well as retired officers and enlisted families, as well as former officers. And the idea behind the scholarship fund is to recognize that military families, military children may not have time to establish deep roots in the community to make them competitive for other programs that might assist with college expenses. We also have a foundation, a MOAA foundation, that functions in a similar manner as the service-specific relief agencies that other guests may have talked with you about over the years. And its focus is to prevent and protect veterans in crisis situations. The foundation provides small grants to veterans currently serving and their families who are adversely impacted by natural disasters and related events. The foundation was particularly active in Florida and the Carolinas after the 2 recent hurricanes. And we have a benefits education practice that delivers presentations via webinar and on all the major military bases, discussing the fundamentals of financial management, preparing for the loss of a spouse, understanding VA benefits, and a wide range of topics to make veterans and their families and currently serving aware of their earned benefits. And we have a career transition practice that focuses on providing self-marketing assistance to currently serving and their spouses as they prepare for the transition from uniform service to career success. So I think this is an association that makes a difference for the entire military community, and we're proud of these community engagement programs.
It sounds like you have a lot to be proud of, for sure. Definitely. And do you have a major presence outside the Washington, D.C. metro area? What is this like across the country?
We have a nationwide network of councils and chapters that supplement our work. The councils and chapters are independent business entities, but we provide encouragement and support to keep them engaged in 3 areas. First and foremost, we want them to be engaged in grassroots advocacy. Brenden and his team can go to Capitol Hill and knock on doors, but it's often more effective if a constituent is engaging with a member of Congress or their staffs back in the home office. And we encourage our chapter members to be involved in legislative advocacy. Being a little bit selfish, we also encourage our members to help us with the membership challenge by helping us connect with people in their local communities who may not know about the organization and some of the good work that we do. And we also encourage our councils and chapters to be engaged in impactful community service that builds the brand in local communities. Things like ROTC program support, junior ROTC program support, veterans courts. So several of our chapters are very active in veterans courts, and food banks, and maybe hospitality programs, particularly effective in remote areas to support servicemen and women who are away from home with a limited support structure.
Well, that actually leads very nicely into my next question, and it sort of touches on how Leslie and I sort of first became introduced, which was at, I guess it would be called a conference, Zero Mills, sort of a think tank, if you will, back in Georgetown in October, and basically coming together to discuss the challenges of recruiting and service in general in this country, and the challenges that we face in encouraging the civilian community to consider military service and keep the volunteer military service going. That's sort of one of the things that we touched upon. But what do you think that people can do within the civilian community to encourage young people?
Well, one thing that can really make a difference, military professionals often talk about how we recruit soldiers and sailors, but we retain families. And one of the most important elements in retaining families is for a military spouse to feel that he or she has some opportunities to grow professionally. Military spouses are a very well-educated cohort. Most have undergraduate degrees. Many have graduate degrees, and their unemployment rate is about 4 or 5 times the national average. national unemployment about 4.2%, military spouse unemployment about 24 or 25%, depending upon the survey. And this is a cohort that has a lot to give, a wealth of volunteer experience. They have served successfully in many different areas, and an openness to consider military spouses is very, very helpful to support recruiting and retention efforts. Surveys indicate that about 40% of current employees are actively looking for a new job. And if you consider the frequency that Gen Zs and millennials tend to change jobs, it's not a big deal, really, if you consider that a military spouse might move on in 2 to 3 years, because in that time, he or she can really add a lot of value to a small business in a particular geographic area. So I would say, first and foremost, an openness to consider military spouses as a value-added resource when you have to make staffing decisions, and also to encourage young people to consider the value of military service. There are probably people in your extended family who have served, and relaying their positive experiences can really make a difference. The best thing that happened to me was a Navy ROTC scholarship to the University of South Carolina 25 years ago, right after the dinosaurs died, and it led to so many positive.
Hey.
It led to so many positive things in my life, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served.
How does MOAA support the families of the military families that are, how do you support in general military families?
Well, the educational programs that we champion that are focused on survivor benefits, accessing VA benefits, financial education, the fundamentals of financial management, these programs support military families. And for the 14 million military and veteran caregivers, we have an online guide focused on the legal and the financial aspects of veteran caregiving. These hidden heroes do a tremendous job meeting the needs of their survivor and their families. And we think that having this online guide focused on the legal and the financial aspects of military caregiving is a noble mission for an association of military officers.
I really thank you for having that on there. In fact, I'd love to link to it on my own site because I think that's really, really something that is necessary. It's needed. I didn't know you had that there.
MOAA.org/caregiver. Love your feedback if you ever take a look at it.
I plan to, but you're probably going to be teaching me a lot there too, because it's a complicated area and a lot has changed just in the last few years alone. So it's continuing legal education, as we call it. So yes. Well, Leslie, let me turn to you. Tell me about Total Force Plus and this inaugural conference I've heard so much about. Can you tell me what inspired it, what the initiative is?
I'm glad to.
For it.
And I'm excited too, Jen. I know we've talked about it previously, but I'm excited to share it with your audience.
Yes.
The Total Force Plus conference is MOAA's first conference of this size. We've done other events, but something of this scale is new to us. It's scheduled for October 2025. It'll be the 28th and 29th of October next year. It's going to be held at the Gaylord National Resort and Convention Center. We're anticipating more than 5,000 attendees.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. It's going to include leaders from the military and from the DoD, industry experts, some of our industry partners that are out there that have solutions. That's what we're looking for. So we want them to join us as well. We're going to have nonprofit friends, some of our MSOs and VSOs that operate in this space to support military families, veterans and military spouses. We want them all to come together to really address the most pressing challenges, people-related challenges that are facing our national defense. I would say the inspiration for this conference for Total Force Plus really did come from our president and CEO, Lieutenant General retired Brian Kelly. He grew up in the people space. He was the A1 for the Air Force prior to becoming our president here at MOAA. He brought a very clear vision when he joined MOAA to create a conference that's really all about the people. While others at MOAA had long seen the value of hosting an event like this, it really was BK's leadership coming in, his passion, that turned this vision into a reality. We think in this space, when you talk about military conferences, there are many that are military focused, but really focused on the mission, what we need in terms of equipment and technology and capabilities that will help to protect our nation, help us to compete with our near peer competitors and really defeat our adversaries. And those conferences are critical. Conferences like AUSA provides, like Navy League, AFA, and the Modern Day Marine. Those are some of those conferences that are in that space. But Total Force Plus is going to be different. It's a conference that's entirely focused on the people. One of our taglines that you can find on our website at totalforceplus.org is that people outrank everything.
That's
When you
awesome.
think about, I love it. Like that was one of ours
Really
that
good. Yeah.
I'm going to get a bumper sticker, I think, with it. So thinking about like our service members, our veterans, our civilians who really do make up our total force, and even our families. Our national defense relies not just on the advanced systems and strategies, but on the talent. I think about the technical expertise of our members that are serving, both in the military and our civilian members that are serving, and our leadership of the individuals that are behind it. So Total Force Plus aims to advance solutions that will support recruitment and retention and readiness by really addressing some of those challenges that are in talent management and leadership development, quality of life in that veteran and retiree experience. Ultimately, this conference is really about creating an immersive experience, an immersive space to foster collaboration, to share expertise, maybe share best practices across all of the services, and really drive meaningful change that will strengthen the foundation of our national security. And we believe that's our people.
So what can attendees expect? What kinds of things are you going to have?
Now, that's a great question. And we have a lot of creative people assisting with this, not just at MOAA, but we have partners in this conference space that are helping us to really think through how do we make this an experience for the attendees while still focusing on what our leadership at the Pentagon has asked for, because we have met with several of our DoD leaders to really find out what is it that leaders want to see when it comes to addressing the people challenges. So we're focused on solutions. We want to find solutions for some of those toughest challenges when it comes to our national defense in the people space. Our conference is for all services. It's for all ranks. That is something that really does set us apart from some of the other conferences that are out there in the military space. Attendees can expect a truly immersive experience. We're going to be featuring thought-provoking discussions, these interactive sessions, actionable takeaways that are really designed to empower leaders and strengthen the military and veteran community. Something that we really worked hard on with some of our friends at McKinsey. They've helped us in strategizing a little bit here in our conference planning. We wanted to identify 4 enduring themes that we would see year over year at this conference. The first theme is talent management and innovation. So how do we explore strategies to attract and retain and really develop the best talent to ensure that we are a capable and ready force? And this includes our civilian talent. One of the interesting things that we uncovered in some of our interviews over at the Pentagon is that there is a challenge when we talk about that civilian talent pipeline. And so what can the conference do to help address that challenge? The second bucket that we're looking at is leadership development and performance. Really, how do we highlight the importance of preparing leaders so that they can meet the complex demands of serving in this modern military environment? And so we want to make sure that they are able to perform at their best. And so that's some of the individual solutions that we're hoping to bring to the conference. Quality of life is the third bucket, and this is one where we'll be partnering with organizations that's near and dear to my heart, Five and Thrive, so that we can address some of those critical issues that are facing our military families and our service members when it comes to childcare and education and healthcare and housing and spouse employment, so that they have what they need in order to support them so they can thrive.
I think it would be, I think it will be, can I have you back on to discuss
Yes,
this?
I would love to do that. Thank you so much, Jen. I look forward to sharing more information about this and look forward to
Next,
being again.
in the new year, we will do this and talk about it. I thank you all for being on the show, and I wish you a happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.